In this video, you will learn how to add point of view to your narrative writing. Remember that point of view is the lens through which you, as the reader, get to view the story. There are two questions that are going to help us think about point of view today in our own writing. Who is telling my story, or who is my narrator? Throughout this lesson, I'm going to use this hipster dude as my example. So let's get started by thinking about the three most common types of point of view that we see in narrative writing: first person, third person limited, and third person omniscient. You are a pro at first person. Remember that first person point of view is going to use pronouns like I or my. I might write something like, I need some coffee, I thought. I adjusted my man bun and poured myself a cup. I'm using pronouns like I or my. In first person, I'm actually seeing the story through the character's eyes. Third person is going to use pronouns like he or she or they. In third person, you're not seeing the story through the character's eyes. You're an outside observer looking in on the story. There are two types of third person limited and third person omniscient. In third person omniscient, as that outside observer, I also get to see the character's thoughts and feelings. So I might write something like, I need some coffee, Robbie thought. He adjusted his man bun and poured himself a cup. I'm using pronouns like he, his, himself. I'm still that outside observer looking in and describing what I'm seeing. However, I also get to see the character's thinking. In third person limited, I don't get to see what the character is thinking, so I might write something like, Robbie's eyes were heavy, he needed his coffee. He adjusted his man bun and poured himself a cup. I'm using pronouns like he, his, himself, and yet I can't describe how Robbie thought he needed a cup of coffee. I need to describe it through what I can see. I might say something like Robbie's eyes were heavy, describing how he looked tired. In third person limited, I only get to describe what I can actually see. So let's get started by dreaming up a character. I want you to pause the video right now and think about the character that you're going to work with today. If you are writing a flash draft, you're going to be writing in third person point of view about this character. If you're writing your independent writing project, I want you to just pause right now and to start to think about who your character is that you've already started writing about. If you're struggling to think of a character, I want for you to think of one that's kind of unique, that's going to have some interesting characteristics to him or her. Here's one that I just found online. You're welcome to use him. So let's get started thinking about who is our character. What do we know about our character? What does our character care about? What motivates him or her? So if I'm thinking about my hipster dude, I'm going to say that my hipster dude, he works at a coffee shop on Capitol Hill. That's something I know. He's an activist. He's all about helping people. He loves animals. So now that I know a little bit about him and what motivates him, I want to start to think about what's going to actually happen in the story. Because he works on Capitol Hill, I'm going to have something happen at the coffee shop. And I was just thinking about the last time I was up there and I saw a couple stray dogs and cats. So I'm going to say that Robbie finds this dog outside the coffee shop. So based on what I know about Robbie, the fact that he is an activist, that he's all about helping people, that he loves animals, I wonder how he's going to respond or feel about this dog. So I'm going to say that Robbie is going to feel empathy for the dog and that he's going to want to help it. So there's my story. Now I need to choose which point of view I actually want to write from. I can choose either to write from first person point of view. If I'm writing from first person point of view, I'm actually seeing the world through Robbie's eyes. I'm going to describe through Robbie's perspective what it was like to see the dog for the first time. If I'm writing in third person, it's like I'm this outside observer and I'm watching Robbie see this dog for the first time. So stop right now and think about which point of view is going to be most effective in conveying your story. First person, actually seeing the story through the character's eyes, or third person, describing the story as an outside observer. So I chose third person point of view. I want to describe what it was like to see Robbie actually meet the dog. So here's my flash draft right now. Robbie adjusted his man bun and looked around the coffee shop. It was a slow afternoon. He would have plenty of time to get some things done. He grabbed a bag of espresso beans and began refilling the espresso machine. "Did you hear that?" Carl yelled from the stockroom. He listened for a second. "Nothing. What are you talking about?" "I thought that I heard a crying noise." Carl appeared from behind the door, a bar of Theo chocolate in hand. He broke off a piece and handed it to Robbie. Robbie shoved the piece of chocolate in his mouth. "I don't hear anything," he said, walking to the door. Suddenly he heard it, a quiet whimper. He peeked outside. Curled up under one of the metal chairs was a dog. He was filthy, his fur matted and full of who knows what. One ear looked like someone had taken a bite out of it. As he watched, he continued to cry. Carl peered in the doorway. "What are you going to do?" he asked. "I mean, what else can we do? We have to help him, right?" Carl sighed and pulled the towel from his apron. He tossed it to Robbie. Robbie knelt down and reached out for the dog. The dog looked up at Robbie when he felt his touch. His fur was damp and freezing. Robbie tucked the towel around the small body and began to pet his head softly. The dog closed his eyes for a second. Poor guy, Robbie thought. If you're using your clues, you'll notice that I'm writing from third person omniscient point of view. So I'm using pronouns like he or his, but I'm also getting to describe Robbie's thinking and his feelings about the dog. Your job right now, if you are writing a flash draft today, your job is to take your character and to write a flash draft from your character's point of view. I encourage you to go through each of the different questions that we went through. First, what do you know about your character? What does he care about? What motivates him? Next, what's going to happen in the story? How would your character feel or respond to what happens? And then lastly, which point of view is going to be the most effective in conveying your story? First person or third person? And then get started writing your flash draft. If you're writing an independent writing project today, I want for you to read through your independent writing project now and make sure that you're using the point of view that is going to be the most effective in conveying your story. Get started.